Something I always have to think about is that whenever I do look at some YouTubers' content, I would think about, well, okay,
Ruin has come to my
how good
family.
lifing can always affect perspectives of things.
You
Someone who's a
remember
good
our
lifer,
venerable house?
sometimes they would have like
Not
unique
to let that
perspectives
imperial,
because of the lack of
gazing proudly
experiences
from
they
its
would have
historic
with that
perch above the
at
moor.
at its worst.
I lived all my
So
years
imagine
in
like
that
a
ancient,
suburb guy talking about
rumor-shadowed manor, fattened
how good
on
random
decadence and
interactions are with
luxury.
random people. In
And
that
yet I began to
context, it's
tire of
like, okay, it's
conventionalist
in the suburbs,
brackets.
so it's a chill
See,
area.
their
Everybody
unsettling taste
somehow knows each
suggested
other,
the mansion itself was
or
a
at least, let's
degraded,
say there's this one
thankless,
guy who would know you from high
unredeemable
school
pile of
because
rubble.
it's just a small area.
We threaded
Everybody's gonna
that
know each
ritual,
other some way,
directed
somehow,
every effort towards the
for
excavation
better or
and
worse, of
recovery of
course.
those long-buried secrets, exhausting what
And
remained of our
within that
family
context
fortune,
of, in
swarming
that
workmen
pre-friendly
and sturdy
context,
shovels.
whenever they would have tried to
At
apply that
last,
to
in
other things,
soil-soaked crags
it's
beneath the
somehow gonna
mountain,
overlap. And someone who isn't a good lifer, somehow, by some way, they're gonna tell that something is wrong. So I'll try to apply that to, well, the next clip, so to the next video clip I'm about to show. All right, all right.
It's so weird nowadays that when I look at any social media, the first thing that came up in my feed is relationship advices.
Do you think men go in a relationship with a woman that they don't find attractive? No. That is their minimum standard. You have to be beautiful. A lot of women that are not attractive do not find a partner.
Where men and women having the most expectations towards their potential partners.
I have a list of the things I look for in the men I date, and you should too. This is how I decide if I want to keep seeing him and keep him in my life.
And it got me thinking, if there are a lot of creators on social media proudly talking about their potential partner's expectations, their so-called bare minimum, are we kinda doomed in searching for love?
What is love?
A few weeks ago, I was eating.
Okay, so this good lifer used very good
the
examples.
poor caretaker.
However,
I put his
both
long-standing
men and
duties here
women
have
have different standards of
affected him.
dating because guess what? They think very differently. However, when you keep trying to say this to people, when most of the world they would deny this or they would get very angry when you would mention this because it would kind of travel up social rules. Well, and also the social contract, but mostly social rules. You don't admit when men and women think differently, and they are attracted to different things. For men, well, you know, okay, for men, they don't really care about attractiveness. They just care about if you're able to show compassion. And if we want to go on a general level, men and women, they don't actually really care about morality, at least not as much as you think. You see, the important part about understanding that, yes, that is very scary. I promise you. Yes, that is scary. But if we move past that, it makes a lot of things more easier to understand. So they don't care about morality. Okay, sure, the average person doesn't care. But why hasn't the world went to hell yet? And why don't people usually talk about this more? Okay, so I'll try to tackle that. You see,
A
even though
traveling
they don't care
mother
about
now,
morality, what
a
they do care
lost
about is
cause.
whether, well, if you're able to care for them, if you're able to show compassion for your partner. So it's like, okay, yes, even if you do like torturing people to death, I will still show compassion and love you because you care for me. That is a biological instinct. So it's like, yes, even though you're not society's version of good, you're not my type of evil that I would hate. So, by nature, we would get together. However, sometimes people would actually abuse this. And So now we have genuinely evil people getting into relationships. But it's not the fact that they're genuinely evil, but it's the fact that they're kinda evil and they destroyed a relationship. So now we have a lot of lies running around that yes, you should be a good person. Yes, you should be a great person. No, it's not really about that, but it's just about being yourself. But I'll get into that on why that is generally confusing in the next clip. All right, all right.
At this small restaurant near my college. You know, one of those cozy spots where students hang out between classes? Now, next to me sat a group of freshmen, probably around 19 or 20, talking about relationships. At first, they were talking about typical stuff college students are talking about, but then one of them started listing her ideal type, which I happened to hear. Oh, yeah, I want a rich, tall, handsome, kind, introverted, supportive, a good listener, family oriented person. And the list just went on and on and on. And I just sat there thinking like, when did falling in love start to sound like a filling out of a job application? Like, when did we start needing a spreadsheet to fall in love? Look, I'm a doom scroll myself, and I recently noticed how there's a lot, and I mean a lot of contents that are talking about very extreme love and relationship advices. Like, I don't understand how we change from you're kinda cute and we have a lot of things in common. I think we're kinda meant to be each other to you're almost perfect, but since you messed out like one or two checklists, I don't think we're a match. Oh yeah, plus you're a total red flag now. Like, I know some people would say something like, oh, but we have to have standards. We shouldn't be accepting less. Well, yeah, having standard is fine. But having almost 20 plus list of your desired partner is not a standard. It's already a straight up job application. Now, don't get me wrong, having standards is healthy. And you should know what you want. But we've crossed the line between having standards and having requirements.
The fact that this good lifer gets really close to what's actually going on for Gen Z is insane. So I'm gonna list off the good things, okay? And then I'll get to the bad stuff. All right, all right, all right. So one of the good things is that, well, okay, she was able to pick up on,
Brigands have
well,
run
you
up
know,
these lanes.
her
All
fellow
the same
college
now.
students
The hamlet is just
talking
ahead.
about unrealistic standards, even though they're the same
Ambush.
gender. You
Send
see,
these
the
with a
reason why
hurried
this is a
message.
problem
The rightful owner
to
has
not pick
returned,
up
and their
is that,
kind is
well,
no
okay,
longer
so people,
welcome.
they're naturally biased. So that means they would naturally support their own gender.
This expedition at least
However,
promises success.
when they're willing to look at, well, the possible nuance, and let's say, okay, what if this same gendered
Leave nothing
person
unchecked.
had a
There is
particular
much to be
view
found in
because
forgotten
they
places.
only talk with the same gendered people?
Dispatch this
So it's
info
like, hey, I
brochure,
only have
and all may
information
hear
from
of your
men,
arrival
but I
now.
never talk to any women. So naturally, I would have more information that is supposed to be for men and by men. But it's just labeled as, hey, I technically know about women, but you only heard the information about women from men. You'll have to see both to actually see what's going on, which is the important part. Okay, so let's talk about the standards next. Okay, okay, yes. Standards are very important. So let me just talk about the good stuff, okay? If you have standards and you know that you would love the person after all the standard checking, you at least take a heavy and important step into making sure that if you do have a family, which is very rare, I guess, in the future, that you don't end up making a broken family. The mother doesn't actually love the father. And the child, well, guess what? The parents are technically staying together, in heavy quotations, by the way,
They're
staying
cursed,
together
camping
for the
in
kid,
thralls.
which they're just kind of using the kid as an excuse because, well, if the mom and dad divorce,
Destroy.
they're gonna be even more broke than what they already are. So that's not really fun.
Success so
But
clearly
also,
in
Like I said,
Or is it
men and
merely a trick
females,
of the light?
they have both of those different genders, they have different standards. So keep that in mind.
Welcome
They
home,
have different levels of
such as it
standards.
is.
Men don't really care for beauty,
This
but
squalid
women
hamlet,
do.
these
That's
corrupted
why you'll
lands,
see women
they are yours
taking
now,
so much time to
and
look
you are
good
bound to them.
for, they could even ask and
Trinkets and
have, they could
charms
even ask the person
gathered
that they're
from all
looking
the
good for
forgotten corners of the earth.
in a detailed conversation. If that
Women,
person's a man, he
soldiers
would
and
answer,
outlaws,
he would give his
fools
own
and
answer,
corpses,
and then
all will
that
find
same
their way
woman who
to us now
listens to
that the
that
road is clear.
conversation, it will go in one ear and out the other because women naturally like pretty things. And if it's not
A
pretty,
mecca
then they
of
wouldn't
madness and
necessarily
morbidity.
have a good opinion of
Your
it.
work
So
begins.
that's why, by nature, they would do their best to make sure that they look pretty because they would think that other people, yes, even to the other gender, men would like them. Yes, men do like women who look good, but not to the extent that women do.
The cost of
And
preparedness,
that's the important
measured
part
now in
because,
gold,
well,
later
it
in
really
blood.
only got this bad due to women not having conversations with men that are in good faith about what do men like about women.
The standard is knowing you want someone respectful. A requirement is demanding they make six figures, meditate daily, own a dog, never had an ex, and are exactly 6'2". And I just think that that's not a standard. That's a fantasy. I just think that social media is ruining our perspective in finding and being in love. Just because some influencers have said something so controversial with their partner doesn't mean you have to follow it too. There's more to life than it is in your screen, and a lot more beyond with what these influencers have in mind. This is worsened when the majority of the social media users are basically kids and teenagers that doesn't really have a brain cell towards dating and love. Like they would consume this knowledge unknowingly and develop an ick towards people that are beyond their views. And this is not only healthy for them, but also creates some sort of ego in their mind that I wanted the best for myself, while they didn't realize the feeling that they are feeling is actually insecurity. Like, here's my question. If you're actually confident with yourself, you don't need a list of criteria stating that I want the most perfect partner to ever exist in this world. Like, if you're actually confident, you will get a partner that is also confident. Surprise, surprise.
Now, it took me some time to think about this. So well, this clip was made. Well, this thing of me talking was made probably like 2 or 3 days after. But something important to note is that yeah, I do agree what was said in the last clip, but you got to keep in mind that you can't force people to love other people that they don't want to love. That's something really, really difficult to think about. Because it's like, hey, what if I'm the person on the side who's given love and I never receive it? That means I will never get the result that I want.
So, my question is, are we exactly doomed? Well, not exactly. We're just overexposed to extreme opinions and under practice at boring, healthy love. So, next time you see some influencers talking about their extreme expectations and their bare minimum, just remember that a high value partner is cute for a clip, but a high quality relationship is two people choosing each other, adjusting and repairing on repeat. A high quality relationship doesn't come from a list, it comes from being yourself and maintaining a connection between each other.
Just got to run a 120-mile week, 2,000 pull-ups, 4,000 push-ups.
Something important to acknowledge after you watch the full video on your own is that this YouTuber is either a good lifer or using intellectual dishonesty. Those two things mean a lot, but that wouldn't make someone necessarily a bad person. You see, the reason why being a good lifer isn't bad is because good lifers, they have very limited insight. But at the same time, that limited insight allows them to be confidently positive about an experience. And that could convince other people to try that experience too. Now, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but it's not coming from a bad place. Okay, so let's go to intellectual dishonesty. You see, intellectual dishonesty is very important because even modern scholars use it too. The average modern scholar, they would use intellectual dishonesty because they know how painful the truth is for the average person. But for the average person who's willing to research the truth, they will know why that truth was cleverly hidden. Like, think of it like this, okay? I'm talking about oranges, right? But even after me talking about oranges for 1 hour, I never talk about the taste of the orange, or let's say the color of the flesh of the orange. So the person, if they're curious enough, they would search up to how does an orange taste like, or how does the flesh of the orange look like, and thanks to that, they will now know the information that they're missing, or they will now know the information that's wrong. That's why intellectual dishonesty could help people, but it's generally neutral because people get very aggressive when you tell them the truth. But even if you tell them the truth, everyone else would still tell them lies. So you put them in a ultimatum of who to believe and how do they actually overhaul all the information up until then, up until you told them that specific truth.